And I think we need your headpiece, earpiece.
Oh, right.
Otherwise, we'll have an Andy Dolich problem again.
Right.
Andy was waiting until you get your earpiece on. Okay, sometimes I think when people are using Android-based devices, sometimes that happens. You're not Android-based, are you?
I mean, my phone is, but this is my laptop.
Okay.
Where's that? Caleros and Vernon Adams. A couple of guys I remember scouting, one at Cincinnati and the other one at Eastern Washington in the Grey Cup championship game.
Why do they call it the Grey Cup? Well, aside from the fact, the possibility.
Because it's named for Lord Grey.
Who is Lord Grey?
Oh, God. Okay, how much do you want to know about?
I don't know.
How much would you like to know about Canadian history?
Well, in the interest of time, not much. But
okay.
Yeah, like you could just say Lord Grey was like, I don't know, best barkeep in Canada or something like that. Fine, but I don't know who Lord Grey was.
No. Not a barkeep, but a
facetious.
I figured. However, he was one of the first governor, or he was the governor at the time, governor general, I guess is the full term, at the time that they began playing for a championship in 1909. And Lord Governor.
Lord Governor reminds me of a Star Trek episode. Lord Governor. Squire. It reminds me of Squire of Gothas.
And it replaced what was called the Allen Cup before that, named after Sir H. Montague Allen. So Canadian football had a slightly different path of development than it did down here. But there has been, fairly high level competition since before the turn of the century in Canada. And Albert Gray, like I said, was the Canadian governor general at the time. It originally was given to the top amateur rugby team in Canada, but eventually it came to be the premier award for our version of football. And the first Grey Cup was played in 1909 between the University of Toronto Varsity Blues and the Toronto Parkdale Canoe Club. And because, they have college football there, but because it's a little more than a club sport there, even now, it's not. Their college football is radically different from ours. Their top level of college football, the highest level of college football there, is more like really good NAIA football or mid-level Division II football here in terms of both level of competition, facilities, and things like that.
Okay, so shifting gears, we have the Kansas City Chiefs presenting a tale of two teams. The Chiefs without Chris Jones and the Chiefs with Chris Jones.
and more importantly, with them deciding to hammer you in the run game. And I've been calling for this quite some time. You mentioned it in the video. I mentioned the video I made earlier today as well. And I thought that if they established the run and ran the ball well, they had a very good chance to win this game. They, for reasons I'm not fully sure I understand, have not used their run game enough to this point. And for whatever reason, today it dawned on them, hey, we actually could be pretty good at running the football.
Yeah, and it's paid dividends. I'm sorry, go ahead, Bill.
So they're doing this up against one of the best run defenses in the NFL, also a team that only allows 3.7 yards per carry. But tonight, you've seen several runs of 5, 7, 8, 14-yard runs. Isaiah Pacheco, first of all, is a person who runs as if you stole something from him. First of all, part of it is because he was a guy who was under-recruited coming out of high school, goes to Rutgers.
Reminding me of that movie, I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. Anyway.
He's under-recruited coming out of high school, goes to Rutgers, is somewhat overlooked there, has a tremendous pro day. He's a 4.39 guy. He's strong. He runs angry. And though he's only about 216 pounds, depending on, what day you catch him, he runs like a guy 10, 15 pounds heavier, and he's fast. So he, what's mass times acceleration? Force is simply mass times acceleration. He hits you, accelerating, exploding into you, so he's hard to tackle. And he just doesn't go down almost ever from the first contact. He's a reasonably decent, not great, but reasonably decent receiver of the ball. Edwards-Helaire has softer hands, but he's not as athletic. And, of course, is a smaller guy. But they're using both of their running backs fairly well. And if they keep doing that, they're going to be hard to beat. And they sprinkled in just enough Travis Kelce. But I really think the key to them becoming a dangerous offense is the two guys you've seen them using more today than they have most of the season. Kadarius Toney, of course, is battling injury. He's always been a guy that has had trouble staying healthy, even back to his time at Florida. And then the big kid from Penn, right? Justin Watson, who is also shockingly fast, despite the fact that he's about 6'3" and a quarter and 224 pounds. He clocked 4.41. So he's another big, fast guy. And they just are beginning to sort of realize what they have in him. He did have, one bad drop, but they haven't lost confidence. They've gone back to him, and he's going to be a big play guy if they keep going to him. For the Eagles, they need two things. One, settle it down. And they need to get back to running the football. One is, once again, it keeps Chris Jones et al., right, and George Karlaftis and Mike Dana and a bunch of other people from hitting your quarterback, right? You don't want your quarterback to keep, who is coming off of a knee injury and gutting it out, to keep getting hit. And that's also what led to turnovers, right? Balls getting punched out of your quarterback's hands, or your quarterback being hit or being pressured while he's trying to throw the football. So you can avoid, hopefully, having that happen, and then that'll help you to climb back into the game. They're not so far back that they have to change anything that much. They just get back to running the football.
And as the Eagles come out and they are 1st and 10 on their own 25, and they come out with a nifty run play, it kind of looks like something they stole from the Chiefs. But at any rate, for the first half, net yards passing, Chiefs 69, Eagles 20.
Yep.
20. Now, first downs, Chiefs 13, Eagles 8. And completion attempts, Eagles, that's Mr. Hurts, 5 of 7. Mm-hmm. Chiefs, Mr. Mahomes, 10 of 16. Net yards per pass play, the Eagles, a paltry 1.7 yards per pass. The Chiefs, a low but better than their opponent, 4.1. Time sacked. The Eagles were, get this, the Eagles were sacked 5 times in the first half alone. Yep. Is that a record? That's not a record, I know.
No,
but it's definitely what is it for a first half sack? Do you know?
It's I think it's double digits. Probably happened to David Carr back in the day when that poor young man. But
holy ouch, Batman.
So that's why you're getting the 1.7, right? Is because you're subtracting all those. Unlike college, those are considered rushing yards in college, which is silly. So that's
sacked again. Sorry, go ahead.
But in the NFL, they take that off of your passing yards. So sacks in college count against rushing yards. In the NFL, count against your net passing yards. So that's why you're getting those low passing yard numbers. And
Mr. Carroll, that's Chris Jones' 3rd sack of the contest, number 3. And so we have 1 interception thrown each, 3 punts for the Chiefs to 2. It's about to be 4 punts for the Chiefs, for the Eagles. I'm sorry. Versus, and in fact, you know what? The computer heard me. It was just adjusting it to 4. That's funny. And punts average 47 for your Eagles and 39 for your Chiefs. Penalties, 3 for the Eagles, 2 for the Chiefs. Penalty yards, 10 assessed on the Chiefs versus 15 for the Eagles. Yep. Only the Eagles fumble, thanks to Mr. Hurts, but they didn't lose that fumble. So basically, what you look at in terms of total yards, the Eagles are actually, for all of this, still outgaining in terms of total yards per the game. No, outgaining in terms of the league average for total yards per game, 390 versus the Chiefs, 378. They're 5th versus the Chiefs. Yeah. And then
coming into the game, right?
Right. Thank you. Coming into the contest. But in terms of, I don't like the way Yahoo lays out. It's okay. Here we go. Total yards 190 for the Chiefs, a mere 79
Right.
for the Eagles. And so basically, all this adds up to is basically one big, my goodness, how about the Chiefs defense, huh, Bill?
Well, it's a top 5 defense and has been pretty much the entire season. And I tried to tell people, and I once again have made some videos and some articles about this, that'd be the big difference in this year's Chiefs is that they would be a little more, I don't want to say dull on offense, but a little less intent on pushing the ball down the field on offense. But their defense will be better this year and even better next year. They have the youngest defense by age in the NFL. Even with Chris Jones and a couple of veterans, they have so many young players, right? George Karlaftis is, I think he just turned 24. A lot of their best players on this defense are, I mean, Trent McDuffie's 23. A lot of these guys are barely old enough to drive. Well, not drive, but drink. And I guess in terms of driving a rental car, they might need a co-sign or something. So it's a very young defense and getting better. The arrow's pointed up on the Kansas City defense, and they're going to add to it in the draft. Like, they know what they still need to keep doing. When they add one more pass rusher to go into that mix and maybe one more really great, corner to a very good secondary. I mean, they have Snead, and, Jerry Snead is very, very good. A little physical guy that, grabs and things like that and gets called for it. He's the most penalized corner in the NFL, but he's very aggressive and very effective. And the McDuffie, who plays in the slot, plays a little bit of safety, but they move him around. And as that group grow up together, right? So many of them are about the same age. If they can hold them together, and they should be able to on rookie contracts for another couple of years, this defense will continue to improve.
And the Chiefs just ripped off 13 yards running around in. They have found something around the edge, and it's interesting to me. Bill, I can't figure out something. We may have talked about this before. I don't think so, but why? And if we have, it's been a while. Why don't modern defenses protect the edge like their counterparts in the 70s, the 60s, particularly the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s? We had the 4-man front. Now it's, you have defensive ends way off outside over the tight end. And you've got the linebackers as far back as Calcutta. And sometimes you don't have a defensive end at all, in the classic position where your coach would yell, you know what I'm saying, turn the corner, or either turn to the corner or, if you were the tight end, don't get hooked, right? And so on. Now it's like they don't seem to care. Look, although Hassan Reddick has a good position in this one, and you could argue that he's being clipped.
But he wasn't being clipped; he's being held, and they called the hold. But it's two things. One is the threat of Mahomes, right? So there's a lot of what's called mush rush done, right? And so what you're doing is you're trying to sort of clog it up, the places where he might step up or where he might run, and you're trying not to get too far upfield, because that's where he, absolutely kills you, right? You get too upfield, he goes underneath and either takes off and runs, or worse than that, finds a nice wide open passing lane, and usually it's to Kelsey, but, or personally to someone else, hits you with a 30, 40-yard shot, and now all that good work you've done on defense is undone. The fact is that these soft corners that you're talking about come from a variety of things. One, liberalized, I think is the term I might use, calling of certain things amongst blocking. I mean, there's things you can get away with now you didn't used to. Players use their hands way more when they're blocking than they used to be able to get away to. You just mentioned the 70s. That was an automatic flag in the old days. Anytime you extended your hands and when you were blocking, flag came out. Now, as long as you keep inside the frame, right, inside the frame of the player's shoulders, you can grab. Don't pull the jersey too much, but they'll let you grab all day long. Just keep it classy, But if you start tugging, you realize tugging on the jersey, they'll call you. So you get called for holding, not because you're holding. You call because you're holding badly, right? That's what they call you. It's like, oh, that's not well done. That's a poorly executed hold. I have to throw a flag.
Holding badly is holding obviously.
Yes, exactly. That's when they throw it, right?
Right.
If you
like Hassan Reddick's being pushed around there, and although wow, that could have been picked off. That was a very sloppy throw on Jalen's part, and you have to wonder I'm sorry, Jalen. What I'm talking about, that was a sloppy throw on Patrick Mahomes' part, uncharacteristically sloppy. That should have been picked off.
Well, there's two things happening there, and of course he gets away with some wrong-footed throws, but
you think?
But I mean, that's not how you'd want to be throwing a football. You don't want your weight on the wrong foot, right? You would like to be transferring your weight forward as opposed to having your weight forward already and then leaning away from where you're throwing the ball. That's not how you coach it. So what he probably should
throws in a way, I think his ball comes off of his hand having its own physics,
Yeah, well, he did have a wide open receiver there, and he was trying to get it to him. But what he needed to do probably was see if there was someone he could get it to closer to him, where he didn't have to get as much on it, or just literally just throw it away to avoid the sack.
Yeah, but I wonder about that with those plays, because it's easy to say who can get it to, but if I'm thinking that he's coached like Andy seems to be coaching him, there are certain receivers he's not even looking for because they're either alert or decoys, right? So they may seem to be open, and I know sometimes Mahomes, as I say, well, he's broken down, but I don't have the luxury of having the playbook in my possession to see that. But I know the way they draw their plays. There's some receivers they don't intend for you to throw to.
Sure, they're there to run somebody off or to clear out or things like that. But he's also thrown touchdowns to those people before, so including some very famous pass plays.
But those are the alerts. That's the one on the playbook where it writes ALERT, alert, exclamation point. So yeah.
Or even times when that's why it helps to have a guy like Travis Kelce on the field sometimes, because Kelce will literally tell a guy, hey, I know you're supposed to just running a clear out here and they're trying to get the ball to me, but watch out for it to coming to you. Like he knows they're in each other's heads to the point that he can tell when Mahomes might go to a play that's not the called play, just like Kelce does that all the time. He's supposed to be running a crossing pattern. He'll suddenly just break it up the field and go up the seam. And it's not the play that's called, and sometimes it results in an interception, but more often than not, it's a big play.
Hey, time out. Devontae Adams traded to the New York Jets.
Is that like a confirmed thing from someone legitimate?
Well, he's Eric Paginian, who normally he doesn't. He normally doesn't say anything. He's one of our bloggers. He put this up 5 hours ago, and normally he doesn't post anything unless it's news.
I don't think so. Well, first of all, the maybe in the off season, because first of all, just not to belabor the obvious, but the trade deadline's passed. So I'm going to guess that maybe that's speculation about maybe next year. I'm guessing.
Let me see what he's saying here. Get this.
Yeah, I'm guessing they're talking about next year.
Devontae Adams is saying the right things. He wants to be a Raider. He wants to stay with the Raiders, all that stuff. But I will say this. If Aaron Rodgers is trying to recruit Devontae, I'm going to tell this to the Raider Nation out there. Don't be surprised if Devontae ends up with the New York Jets. I'm not saying next year because he's still under a contract with the Raiders. But don't be surprised if Devontae does not end up a New York Jet.
Okay,
simply because of his relationship.
Yeah, so he's speculating about the future. Yeah, they would have to wait a while because of the cap hit. So yeah, he's not. I don't think he's going anywhere for a while. He's under contract.
I have to give Eric
with a significant amount of guaranteed money.
Hey, Bill, we got to give Eric points for being clever with his SEO.
Yeah, I mean, sure, obviously.
You hooked us, man.
Well, no, I wasn't hooked because there's no. I told you the trade deadline's passed, so that's not.
But he made me click on it.
Oh, okay.
That's why you say he hooked us, man. So you get to see what's this, Eric talking about you, man. See what this dude's talking about. This so and so. At any rate, moving forward, we have on 2nd down and 10, the vaunted Eagles offense in the rain. And hey, it's pouring down now. You notice that?
Well, it's been raining the entire game.
They poured hard. Oh, middle screen up, and he's gonna get the first. Nope, close. Not nope. He's a yard and a half out. The vaunted middle screen, popularized by Tom Landry. Remember that? The Cowboys middle screen with this famous jump pass by Roger Staubach. Yes, folks, we go back in time.
Yeah. So the first time there'd be any opportunity to probably move on from Devontae would probably be 2026. His dead cap number drops to $7,850,000 at that point. That might be doable, but yeah, he's not going anywhere for a while.
I think, in fairness, I'll ask Eric to make a follow up just so people aren't getting down on my getting after me and saying, "Hey, that's wrong." Even though they would have to read it, watch it to find out, but we get a little extra coin out of it. Yeah. So let's wrap this up since it is the halftime show. How do you think this is going to turn out, Bill? I think the Chiefs have got this. And
well, I mean, I won't go so far as say got this because the Eagles are notoriously a second half team. What I will say is if the Chiefs don't turn the ball over, they win. That has been the bugaboo for them this year. Is they've had a fair number of turnovers. And then the last thing I'll say is if Jalen Hurts is not better protected in the second half, then yeah, they definitely won't win it. The thing that people just I don't think are giving enough credit to, well, one is Coach Steve Spagnuolo, who's one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL and has been for over a decade. I think about 25 to 30% of the credit for those 2 Super Bowl wins in New York. Everyone thinks about those throws, obviously, and Eli made some great throws and great moments, but people are forgetting how utterly human the Giants made Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. look. And
I saw it in person, and you can watch it too in person with the video that we have here at Zenny 62, the final drive that Bill is talking about, and also other scenes and plays. Oh, also Tom Brady's final drive in the same contest. Bill got that.
Yep. And you could see he just never looked comfortable in the pocket. He's having to try to reset his feet. And he was, I mean, something you almost never see him do, taking his eyes down and looking at the rush. And I don't care who you are. If you can get a quarterback to take his eyes from downfield and look at the rush, I mean, first ballot Hall of Fame or whatever, you can't be that good a quarterback once you're looking at the rush.
True. We're going to wrap it up, Bill. Thank you very much. All right. We'll see you. Talk to you later. Hey, folks, subscribe to Zenny 62 on YouTube. We'll catch you tomorrow or whenever. Oh, yeah, tomorrow, right? We talked about that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hey. Is it tomorrow? Is it Wednesday? I can't remember. Whatever day it is.
It's Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah. Tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow's Tuesday. Okay, so, yeah, we'll do it something. Yeah.
All right, see ya. Okay, all right.